Hi boys and girls, welcome back to Mr. Brakefield Reads. It is definitely Wednesday, I've checked it out, and it's definitely time for some more of the Twits by Roald Dahl. What a classic book we're reading at the moment. Remember, if you've got a copy of this at home, please find it, take it out and read along with me, that'd be fantastic. You'll notice sometimes as I'm reading, I'll read a word and because I'm rushing, that word might slightly change. Alright, so see if you can spot any times that I change a word. And if I do that, as I said, I'm not doing it on purpose, but I'm doing it because I'm rushing, because I'm reading out loud quite quickly. I want to, before we continue, I want to just say a big thank you to Toby R in my class, because he sent me a fantastic message last week, which really put a huge smile on my face. Basically, as you know, I was feeling unwell last week, spent a lot of time in bed, wasn't able to upload any videos, which I felt pretty bad about, to be honest. But he sent me a message that he'd written on a whiteboard that he's got at home, and it just put a huge smile on my face. So thank you to Toby, and a big thank you to his dad for sending it to school as well, so thank you very much. Now we're going to continue, we're going to find out more about these monkeys that Mr. and Mrs. Twits are keeping in their garden. Now, last time we found out about the 4 boys who were stuck up the tree. So the big dead tree, you'll know, Mr. Twit coats the branches in glue, in really sticky, horrible glue, usually to capture birds for bird pie. Now on this occasion, 4 boys went up the tree and they got stuck. So the next day, when Mr. Twit came out looking for birds on the tree, he found boys. The boys couldn't think of a way of getting out of the tree, apart from to take their trousers off, because it was their trousers that were stuck, not themselves, just the trousers. And so they took off their trousers, leaving their bare bottoms exposed, and they had to run home with nothing on their bottoms at all. So there we go. There they are. Now we're going to find out more about the monkeys in Mr. and Mrs. Twit's garden, because it's quite an unusual thing. It's not a regular thing, is it, to see monkeys in people's gardens? So why was it they were keeping monkeys? Well, we're going to find out now. So now for the monkeys. The 4 monkeys in the cage in the garden were all one family. They were Mugglewump and his wife and their 2 small children. But what on earth were Mr. and Mrs. Twit doing with monkeys in their garden? Well, in the old days they had both worked in a circus as monkey trainers. They used to teach monkeys to do tricks and to dress up in human clothes and to smoke pipes and all the rest of that nonsense. Today, although they were retired, Mr. Twit still wanted to train monkeys. It was his dream that one day he would own the first great upside-down monkey circus in the world. That meant that the monkeys had to do everything upside down. They had to dance upside down on their hands with their feet in the air. They had to play football upside down. They had to balance one on top of the other upside down, with Mugglewump at the bottom and the smallest baby monkey at the very top. They even had to eat and drink upside down, and that is not an easy thing to do, because the food and water has to go up your throat instead of down it. In fact, it is almost impossible, but the monkeys simply had to do it, otherwise they got nothing. All this sounds pretty silly to you and me. It sounded pretty silly to the monkeys too. They absolutely hated having to do this upside down nonsense day after day. It made them giddy standing on their heads for hours on end. Sometimes the 2 small monkey children would faint with so much blood going to their heads, but Mr. Twit didn't care about that. He kept them practicing for 6 hours every day, and if they didn't do as they were told, Mrs. Twit would soon come running with her beastly stick. The roly-poly bird. Mugglewump and his family longed to escape from the cage in Mr. Twit's garden and go back to the African jungle where they had come from. They hated Mr. and Mrs. Twit for making their lives so miserable. They also hated them for what they did to the birds every Tuesday and Wednesday. "Fly away, birds!" they used to shout, jumping about in the cage, waving their arms. "Don't sit on that big dead tree! It's just been smeared all over with sticky glue! Go and sit somewhere else!" There they are, there are the monkeys. They try their very best to look after those birds, make sure they don't come to any harm. because they know what's going to happen to them, of course. But these were English birds, and they couldn't understand the weird African language the monkeys spoke. So they took no notice and went on using the big dead tree and getting caught for Mrs. Twit's bird pie. Then one day a truly magnificent bird flew down out of the sky and landed on the monkey cage. "Good heavens!" cried all the monkeys together. "It's the roly-poly bird! What on earth are you doing over here in England?" "Roly-poly bird? Like the monkeys, the roly-poly bird came from Africa and he spoke the same language as they did." "I've come for a holiday," said the roly-poly bird. "I like to travel." He fluffed his marvellous coloured feathers and looked down rather grandly at the monkeys. "For most people," he went on, "flying away on holiday is very expensive, but I can fly anywhere in the world for nothing." "Do you know how to talk to these English birds?" Mugglewump asked him. "Of course I do," said the roly-poly bird. "It's no good going to a country and not knowing the language." "Then we must hurry," said Mugglewump. "Today is Tuesday, and over there you can already see the revolting Mr. Twit at the ladder, painting sticky glue on all the branches of the dead tree. This evening, when the birds come in to roost, you must warn them not to perch on that tree, or they will be made into bird pie." That evening, the roly-poly bird flew round and round the big dead tree, singing out, "There's sticky stuff all over the tree. If you land in the branches, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie." Okay. No bird pie for Mr. Twit. The next morning when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket to snatch all the birds from the big dead tree, there wasn't a single one on it. They were all sitting on top of the monkey's cage. The roly-poly bird was there as well, and the Mugglewump and his family were inside the cage, and the whole lot of them were laughing at Mr. Twit. There they are, look at all those birds on the cage. Ha-ha, the plan worked. Still no bird pie for Mr. Twit. Mr. Twit wasn't going to wait another week for his bird pie supper. He loved bird pie. It was his favourite meal. So that very same day he went after the birds again. This time he smeared all the top bars of the monkey cage with sticky glue, as well as the branches of the big dead tree. "Now I'll get you," he said, "whichever one you sit on." The monkeys crouched inside the cage watching all this, and later on, when the roly-poly bird came swooping in for an evening chat, they shouted out, "Don't land on our cage, roly-poly bird! It's covered in sticky glue! So is the tree!" And that evening, as the sun went down, all the birds came in again to roost. The roly-poly bird flew round and round the monkey cage and the big dead tree, singing out his warning, "There's sticky stuff now on the cage and the tree. If you land on either, you'll never get free. So fly away, stay up high, or you'll finish up tomorrow in a hot bird pie." Mr. and Mrs. Twit go off to buy guns. The next morning when Mr. Twit came out with his huge basket, not a single bird was sitting on either the monkey cage or the big dead tree. They were all perched happily on the roof of Mr. Twit's house. The roly-poly bird was up there as well, and the monkeys were in the cage, and the whole lot of them were hooting with laughter at Mr. Twit. "I'll wipe that silly laugh off your beaks," Mr. Twit screamed at the birds. "I'll get you next time, you filthy feathery frumps. I'll wring your necks, the whole lot of you, and have you bubbling in a pot for bird pie before this day is out." And there he is, Mr. Twit, looking rather angry. "How are you going to do that?" asked Mrs. Twit, who had come outside to see what all the noise was about. "I won't have you smearing sticky glue all over the roof of our house." Mr. Twit got very excited. I've got a very good idea," he cried. He didn't bother to keep his voice down because he didn't think the monkeys could understand. "We'll both go into town right away and we'll buy a gun each," he shouted. "How's that?" "Brilliant!" cried Mrs. Twit, grinning and showing her long yellow teeth.
you'll buy those big shotguns that spray out 50 bullets or more with each bang.
Exactly, said Mr. Twit. Lock up the house while I go and make sure the monkeys are safely shut away.
Mr. Twit went over to the monkey's cage.
Attention,
he barked in his fearsome monkey trainer voice.
Upside down, all of you, and jump to it. One on top of the other. Quick, get on with it, or I'll feed Mrs. Twit's stick across your backsides.
Obediently, the monkeys stood on their hands and clambered one on top of the other, with Mugglewump at the bottom and the smallest child at the very top.
Now stay there till we come back, Mr. Twit ordered. Don't you dare to move, and don't overbalance. When we return in 2 to 3 hours' time, I shall expect to find you in exactly the same position as you are now. You understand?
With that, Mr. Twit marched away. Mrs. Twit went with him, and the monkeys were left alone with the birds. And there are the monkeys, all in position. Mr. Twit has told them to stay like that. That must be terribly difficult to do. Okay, we're going to leave it there for now, but I'm very excited to be back. I am going to see you again now on Sunday. Just remember to keep checking back on this channel. I'll be putting new videos on every Wednesday and Sunday. Just trying to think about it there. Definitely Wednesday and Sunday. I'll even put more on if I can as well. I really enjoy doing this, so I'm going to put more on if I can. But definitely Wednesday and Sunday. So check back every Wednesday, check back every Sunday for the next chapter. When we finish this book, which won't be that long now, we will find another book to read as well, so don't worry, it's not going to end with this. We're going to carry on and we're going to read more and more and more and more and more. Okay? So, for now, happy reading, enjoy the sun safely at home, and I'll see you Sunday. Bye for now.